Zurück zum Unterhaltungsprogramm.
Previously on, will it make it to MOAB? I did 700 miles off-road in temperatures ranging from 43 degrees Celsius to -10 degrees Celsius. There were deserts, salt flats, mountain passes and so much other chaos that this short...
Ob ich ins Gym gehe? Ja, Chat, ich wollte tatsächlich heute nach dem Stream ins Gym gehen. Könntet ihr mich irgendwie nach dem Video... Ich weiß nicht, könntet ihr mich irgendwie am Ende des Streams zwingen, dass ich ins Gym gehe, Chat? Für den Fall, dass ich das jetzt sage und dann wieder vergesse in 20 Minuten oder so. Der würde mir sehr helfen. Danke, Redneck, für den Resub. Vielen Dank für die 37 Monate.
Recap just isn't enough. I don't even have time to explain how I spectacularly blew up the Minijeep and then had to fit the new engine and also do some modifications that I've got up my sleeve. And with that bit of foreshadowing, the story continues. We resume our journey with me waking up in the high desert, glad to be out of the snow.
Well, that's camp all packed up. Gonna head off and try and get to somewhere a little bit warmer, hopefully.
But despite the cold temperatures, my spirits were still high. Apparently.
I'm smiling!
Time to head off and resume our super smooth and professional journey. At super extreme speeds.
Schön. Solche Straßen gibt es einfach nicht in Deutschland. Wisst ihr, was ich sage? Ich bräuchte so ein bisschen irgendwie so ein riesiges... Wisst ihr so, ich bräuchte quasi so eine kleine Wüste in Deutschland oder so. So ein riesiges Niemandsland, wo man einfach mit einem Motorrad herheizen kann oder so. Okay, er fährt zum Mars. Wohin muss ich in Deutschland ziehen, um nichts zu sehen? Brandenburg? Okay, ich komme vorbei. Warum liegen da Steine? Ja, warum? Gute Frage.
So yes, welcome to winter on Mars. One problem I now have is conveying to you that while it looks like summer here, it's still absolutely freezing. Luckily though, I'm pretty slick at CGI. And now we get to see if I'm a slick cook as well. You see, I knew it was going to be freezing here, so I bought a muff pot, which is a cooking pot you put on your muffler.
What?
And now I wasn't constantly ramming the front of the Jeep through snow.
Okay, Chat. Ich habe noch nie mein ganzes Leben von einem Kochtopf gehört, den man in einem Auspuff festmacht. Kein Problem. Jetzt bist du ein 24-jähriger Gia-Chat, der bereit ist, die Welt zu erobern. Weißt du? Auch nicht so schlecht. Danke für die 8 Monate.
I could now fit it.
Come on, cook me some sausages. I'm really hoping that my pepperoni hot pocket will get lovely and warm. All of my being cold issues will be solved. Smells like food. So we put the hot pocket in the thing and then on the exhaust pipe. Now the cold air is kind of going to do something like that, so I don't know what's going to happen. Microwave is between 1 and 2 minutes. Doesn't say how long for a 125cc 4-stroke engine at 7,000 RPM. We'll just have to see.
What are you?
An idiot sandwich.
With high expectations, I headed off across the desert hoping to make decent progress and hot food at the same time. And after 20 minutes of driving in the -5 degrees Celsius air, I stopped to see how hot it was.
Let's check on lunch. No, not even close. I'm thinking don't go into 3rd gear because of the added wind chill. So I'm going to stay at 2nd gear about 6,000 RPM, see how that cooks it.
I carried on, and after a while I stopped to look at this rock. Yep, that's a rock.
Schöner Stein.
I drove for the next 60 minutes hoping my lunch was going to get warm, but it just didn't.
Awesome view.
Veg.
Lukewarm hot pocket.
Gibt's das auch in Brandenburg? Ich glaube nicht, oder? Weil das ist schon ziemlich schön.
After 1 hour. But I'm hungry, so I'm eating it. The muff pot just isn't working, it isn't making stuff hot. So instead I've just jammed the hot pocket underneath the starter motor on top of the engine, just letting it idle. I really want some hot food. Success! It actually managed to melt the cheese, look!
And if you're French, I do apologise for calling that cheese.
I mean, it's not hot. It's a warm pocket. But it is currently -2, so I'll take it.
Kalt aus.
Ah, it's freezing!
Well, I'm not going to get any warmer just standing around. And while it is much colder driving, I was currently at 7,000 feet elevation and was now making my way south towards Lake Powell and the much warmer 4,000 feet elevation. So time to dig deep and do the 200 miles to get to the warmth. Resume the music.
Fuck me in the head. Nearly rolled it. Whee! Oh fuck. I don't know what point this does roll over, but the reason I've come quite close a couple of times.
Chat, ich lese das schon den ganzen Stream. Ist bei euch wirklich immer noch so warm? Ich will mir nicht falsch stellen. Ich sitze hier in einem Raum, wo alle Fenster und so zu sind, aufgrund von akustischen Gründen. Ist ein bisschen warm, aber es ist nicht so warm, wie er das die ganze Zeit beschreibt. Wirklich so mega scheiße. Oh mein Gott, okay. Dann lehnt euch wieder zurück, trinken was. Na, ich trinke auch was.
Going was tough, but I kept on pushing through. Although I did get a bit delirious and imagined George R.R. Martin taking a break from writing Game of Thrones to take a Jeep adventure.
Where you been?
Started out north of Salt Lake City,
Yeah?
then went up to the Idaho border, then went to West Wendover on the Nevada border, and now down to here.
Good for you.
Good for you. How could you get a shot of this guy?
Can I take your picture?
Oh, of course, yeah.
You even have a worthy seat cover.
Beaded seat cover. I need. Oh yeah. If I didn't have that, I'd be rotting in half.
Yeah, I mean, gosh, it's like...
Do you have any water that isn't frozen? Because, like, I've got loads of water. It's just all frozen solid. Oh, thank you so much.
Do you need anything else?
If you got a hot burger and fries, that'd be lovely. I tried heating up a hot pocket on the engine block earlier on, and it sort of worked, but it was miserable. That'll
Tell
do
me
me.
your YouTube channel again.
C90 Adventures. The second episode of this journey's just clicked over 3 million views in a week.
All right.
Wow,
Good
that's
So-
for you.
great.
People seem to be enjoying this stupidity. I'm trying to work out if I am or not.
You'll see and do things that most people will never have the opportunity to do. We'll let you get out in the sun and warm up.
Are you going to be okay with me like cutting some bits together like you giving me the water? I always ask.
We
give
would
people
love to be on your...
Well, you might see yourselves on the channel.
See ya.
All right.
Cool. Cheers, have
Be
fun.
safe.
I'll give it a
Peace and
go.
love.
Cheers. Well, I've got some water that I can pour now. Got to drink it before it freezes. Ugh, that's cold. With my rest stop.
Diese Art von Gesprächen, Chat, in Amerika kannst du mit eigentlich allen führen. Als ich in Amerika war, ich bin immer so ein sehr kommunikativer Mensch, wenn ich irgendwie unterwegs bin, Chat. Ich habe einfach alle angequatscht. Und alle haben immer so zumindest Smalltalk gemacht. So wie die. Und haben sich übel gefreut und so, haben gefragt, wo man herkommt und so. Die sind alle sehr oberflächlich nice da in Amerika. Aber eher so oberflächlich.
Over and the sun's starting to get a bit low in the sky. It was time to carry on pushing south to get to warmer climes.
Hier in Deutschland kannst du auch alles und jeden ansprechen. Nicht jeden. Also du kannst sie ansprechen, aber nicht alle reden mit dir.
Do not adjust your monitors. It really is this orange.
China.
Brief stop for some maintenance.
I've got to make this quick because everything's about to get very cold, but I hit a rock or something. And the tracking's out. This one is towed out. So if you adjust that in. Oh. Look, that is loose. Okay, well I didn't bend anything then, it's just rattled. Yeah, that's towed out, which means you need to make that rod longer. Right. Okay, you're straight. You're basically straight.
What happens in Thailand stays in Thailand.
Right, I found a campfire. Somebody left a piece of wood in. I'm going to use that to make hot sausages tonight.
I drove as the sun set, bringing out the pretty oranges of the desert landscape, before eventually it got dark, and I found a camping spot for the night with a fire pit and some leftover firewood. I used the heat of the fire to turn my ice into water, before it was food time.
Campingwürstchen sind beste Würstchen, Chat.
Onlyfans.com/C90 Adventures.
My ultimate goal is to have a hot drink. I mean, I have melted the bottle. I've got a hot beverage for tonight. I'm going to finish this and go to bed. I'll see you in the morning.
In the morning, I opened the door of my tent and was surprised to see I'd somehow woken up in a postcard. God, this place is pretty.
Yep. Das ist wirklich schön. Was ein verrückter Ort, ey.
Cold, but very pretty.
That's a very inviting seat for the morning. The temperature is -6.4. And I'm going to cheer myself up with a nice cup of hot water.
I used the sun to dry the moisture out of my sleeping bag before packing up camp and heading.
Ich finde es faszinierend, Chat. Für mich sieht das nicht kalt aus, wisst ihr? Aber es ist scheinbar sehr kalt.
No. Oh, sorry. Let me help you understand just how beautiful today's drive is going to be.
Ich meine, guck mal, ganz kurz noch. Sieht aus wie ein anderer Planet.
Tits.
Ich liebe Steine, Chat. Guck dir das an, guck dir, wie die geschichtet sind. Und unten sind sie sogar teilweise schon von Erosion losgelöst. Ich würde es sehr genießen dann. Okay.
Right, let's
What
stop
now?
and have a look at this. I think we're going to be okay. Just going to go a little bit to the right where it hasn't been wallowed out by all the other vehicles, and we'll see.
Whoa! Ist wirklich der Mond plötzlich.
I think we're all in agreement that today's drive has been pretty awesome. Well, you ain't seen nothing yet, and neither had I. Having already driven on Mars and the Moon, I thought today's drive couldn't get any better. I was wrong.
Auch sehr schön.
To have scenery like this is one thing, but for someone like me that has spent his entire life watching his hobby of off-roading gradually become more and more illegal, what I saw next was mind-blowing.
Europeans, I hope you sat down for this. This area, which is Factory Butte, is an open area for vehicles where you can just drive and have fun. So,
Ich bin neidisch.
sorry to all the Europeans that have just died from a heart attack from seeing that. But, yeah, you should enjoy seeing this.
Every year Europe loses more and more trails. The walking Nazis already have sole use of almost all off-road routes.
Walking Nazis. Ey, er kommt aus Großbritannien, also wenn man es nicht vorher schon gemerkt hätte.
But that's not how Nazis work. They want 100%. And eventually, all off-roading will be illegal there. And I'm sorry to report that 40% of the trails around MOAB were closed in 2008, and the Southern Utah Wilderness Alliance, commonly known as Bunch of Dicks, are currently fighting to get 50% of what's left closed as well. Unless we stand up to the dullards that only accept knitting and hiking as acceptable hobbies, trips like I'm taking now will become illegal in my lifetime. And you may think I'm being a bit dramatic, but what you're currently watching is an Englishman forced to leave his country to have fun and live his dreams. This is what I was put on this planet to do. This is what makes me happy.
Okay, well, I'm just gonna call for, oh. Time to fix it myself. Well, we're fucked now. Halfway.
But for the moment, I'm allowed to drive on this arid pile of dust.
Yeah!
And see how close I can get to the cliffs of this butte. I'll give you a hint. I've only got 8 horsepower.
Please don't tip. There's Factory Butte. I don't think I've got the power to get to it. Whoa. Front wheels up in the air. Mummy. Mummy.
Steig ab und zieh das Ding hoch.
God. Okay, that was concerning. Oh, I'm gonna empty my underpants.
Well, not being afraid of trying the same stupid idea multiple times, let's have another go. What's the worst
Piers,
that
danke für
can
die
happen?
61 Monate.
Shit. Brakes are not holding me.
And as they say, the definition of insanity is trying the same thing multiple times and expecting a different, oh, I made it! Awesome!
Yeah.
And speaking of things going well, viewers of my KTM 500 MOAB adventure will remember that the auto tracking and collision avoidance of a DJI drone wasn't exactly the best. But good news, because now when you set the drone to follow you, it's perfect. Perfectly good at thinking that this piece of dust is me. F***ing idiot. Still, at least I'm now less worried about successful Chinese drone strikes. But sometimes it did work, and I hope it helps show just how cool this place is.
Mal so viele politische Anspielungen, Alter. Irgendwann, Chat, rächt sich der YouTube-Algorithmus und schlägt seine Videos nicht mehr vor.
But with the sun setting,
Ironischerweise, Chat, er hatte auch mal ziemlich harte, da hat er auch wieder über die Walking-Nazis, ich zitiere ihn, gesprochen. Ziemlich harte Sachen gesagt. Das war, glaube ich, seine ersten Folge oder so. Und die hat er neu hochladen müssen, beziehungsweise hat neu hochgeladen. Manchmal da hat er ein großes Plappermaul.
it was unfortunately time to leave Factory Butte, ready to continue having fun the following day. And the following day, I decided to finish off any Europeans that didn't collapse with yesterday's dose of freedom. I present to you a second off-road play area, Swing Arm City. Now there's a problem here. Swing Arm City is an incredible place where a combination of steep shale rock formations, godlike driving abilities, and amazing editing could make me look like I'm
packing the kind of tackle that you'd normally expect to find swinging about between the hind legs of a Grand National winner.
But there was a problem. You see, while I started off with this shot, I then tried one of these spectacular 45-degree climbs.
Das ist eine Person, schau mal. Kampierender. Oh, wie cool ist das bitte? Wie cool ist das bitte, mit einem Jeep da oben hochzuballern, Chat, oder oben zu wenden und dann wieder runterzufahren, oder dass man runtertumbelt.
I made it this far.
And to make things
Denk dran, ne? Wenn das steil aussieht auf der Kamera, dann ist das noch viel steiler in Real Life. Kameras können nie so wirklich die Steigung aufnehmen.
worse, I then bumped into 2 riders called Kurt and Chris offered to film me, which truly revealed just how ridiculous I look in this Minijeep. So I've got no choice but to choose some more appropriate music and give up on the big dick energy. Here we go. in case you're wondering, one-handed enduro riding and filming is quite difficult. Luckily though, Chris is a professional and carried right on.
Kurt and Chris.
Hell yeah.
At the moment, your faces are just visors.
We're better off knowing this way, I guess, right? Meet you, man.
Likewise, have fun.
Eventually it was time for Kurt and Chris to leave me to it and ride off like badasses. And now I'm free to film myself, I can go back to making myself look like a badass too. Just gotta get myself unstuck first.
Oh ja, ganz wichtig vorgelesen. Ruby, danke übrigens für die 10 Monate Resub. Danke Viperino für deine 42 und Timsa69 danke für die 17 Monate. Sorry fürs lange warten lassen. War zu abgelenkt vom Video. Go. Jetzt erinnert sich jemand an den Film.
Looking like a badass was going pretty well. I mean, this looks cool, right? I continue to drive around for a bit, trying to go up the cool slopes, and then failing to get up the cool slopes. Bollocks. So I stuck to the level ground where I would look awesome. I'm never...
Guck mal, wie viele Leute sind da quasi hochgefahren und dann wieder runtergefahren? Guck dir das an. Das ist ein riesiger Abenteuerspielplatz.
getting late again, am I? Ah, maybe the problem is I'm not using the auto tracking feature on my drone. Okay, right. Let's enable full autopilot. Have it follow me and point the camera at me. I'll let go of the sticks completely and pow! It flies itself full speed into my neck.
Well, why'd you...
Ist wirklich die Drohne mit den Autofollow das Problem oder ist der Benutzer der Drohne das Problem? Das ist so wie bei fast allen PC-Problemen, Chat. Eigentlich ist nicht immer, also eigentlich ist es nie Windows 11 schuld, sind wir ehrlich. Oder Windows irgendwas.
Wear full motorcycle gear while driving a Minijeep. That's in case your Chinese DJI drone flies into you flat out.
Ich weiß nicht, hat jemand von euch eine Drohne? Ich habe keine Drohne, Chat, ich habe keine Ahnung.
Did you survive, dickhead? Maybe. Your tracking software sucks. Is that the last drone shot we get?
Oh, der benutzt das Handy als Display? Chat, don't hate, okay, ich habe keine Ahnung von Drohnen.
Well, no way. I mean, you're a resilient little bastard. Well, I think that'll do for drone footage, seeing as it just tried to kill me.
Well, luckily the drone was okay, so I didn't need to buy a new one. But if I did, I'd be sure to use today's video sponsor, PayPal.
Just found the end of the spring that's broken off. Maybe I've just got less spring on the pedal? Dangerous, even with 8 horsepower.
I tried loosening the throttle pedal assembly just a little bit to see if it was binding, but that didn't fix it. What it actually required was a very delicate amount of oil applying to lubricate it.
No,
Was passiert da? Oh mein Gott, Bro.
Oiling, abusively.
Das Öl tropft auf den Boden.
Hey, look at that!
I'm an engineer.
Doing. I think fate is trying to tell me to leave Swing Arm City because I got hit in the neck by a drone and now my throttle cable is jammed open. I'm going to head on.
We left Swing Arm City and were forced to do about 10 miles of tarmac before we could do the final 100 miles of off-road to get down to Bullfrog to get the ferry across Lake Powell.
Check.
And once back on the trail network, the sun got lower and lower and was now frequently hiding behind rock formations before it eventually went behind the mountains for the final time today. The routes here are a bit limited, and to avoid destroying my tyres, I had to do another 10,000 foot mountain pass. We slowly climbed from the flat valley at 6,000 feet upwards. With every bit of elevation, the temperature dropped more and more until eventually snow started appearing again. Hopeful Willie and I wouldn't once again get stuck and have to turn around, we carried on. Eventually the sun set, the temperature plummeted.
Streng genommen, Chat, er hätte die Bremse nicht ölen sollen, sondern eigentlich benutzt man dafür Fett. Übrigens, nur so ganz nebenbei, Chat. Schmierfett, um genau zu sein. Aber das hat er gerade nicht da gehabt, deswegen hat er Öl verwendet. Weil ihr immer noch über Öl redet im Chat.
2
Minuten nach der Szene.
To really slow progress. Time for this lonesome traveller devoid of female company for 5 days to seek shelter.
Lonesome Beaver Campground.
Übrigens, Chat, dieses Bureau of Land Management, das nennt sich abgekürzt, Chat, BLM Land. Das ist nicht Black Lives Matter, sondern Bureau of Land Management Land. Das ist quasi das Land, wo du als Amerikaner oder als Gast in Amerika mehr oder weniger alles machen darfst, was du willst. Das ist quasi Land, was der Allgemeinheit gehört. So nebenbei. BLM-Land, Chat, falls ihr es noch nie gehört habt.
Which is probably the most inviting thing I've seen for quite a few days.
Aware that carrying on tonight was a bad idea, I decided to stay here for the night.
Du könntest da auch tatsächlich Gold schürfen oder sowas. Zumindest haben die das auf Reddit geschrieben. Ich weiß nicht, ob es wirklich wahr ist. Vertrau nicht auf meine Aussage, bevor du Gold schürfen gehst.
Excited about the prospect of this lonely beaver. And for the 1046th time in my life, I enacted a scene from a horror movie. This time walking off into the darkness to find a camping spot and search them for leftover firewood. Of course I returned safe and sound and decided the nearest spot was the best one. And fun fact, I haven't watched a horror movie in 17 years now, which probably explains why I'm able to explore forests alone at night without fear.
Ich war Samstag im Kino in einem Horrorfilm-Chat. Der Horrorfilm hieß Boogeyman und das war, glaube ich, der schlechteste Film, den ich seit Ewigkeiten gesehen habe. Bestimmt 10 Jahre oder so. Chat, war richtig, richtig scheiße. Aber ich war nicht im Kino für den guten Film, sondern eigentlich nur, um im Kino zu sein. Danke übrigens für Destiny für die 56 Monate. Und Guanaco91 Chat hat gerade T1 gesubbt. Ganz frisch zum allerersten Mal. Guanaco, du weißt ganz genau. Du bist für immer hier. Dankeschön für eure Subs, Jungs.
There's nothing scary about this at all.
Ja, Boogeyman war kacke, leider. War kein guter Film, Chat. Cocaine Bear war auch schon schlecht. Nee, Cocaine Bear war auch schlecht, aber Cocaine Bear war besser als Boogeyman. Boogeyman war der generischste Horrorfilm, den ich jemals in meinem Leben gesehen habe. Den hätte ich directen können, Chat. Und ich hätte vermutlich besser directed als der Typ.
Jump scare at my tent. And the world's worst guitar. Seriously though, there's nothing to worry about. It's all smiles here.
What's quite cool now is that now I've been doing this for about a week, I've started to acclimatise and it's now -7 and I don't really need gloves anymore when I'm doing this. My metabolism has really kicked up a notch. I've got to eat a lot more food now, but it's lovely not being cold anymore. Speaking of which, time for a fire and time for sausages.
So no lonely beaver tonight, I just have to make do with sausage. To achieve this, I deployed my excellent firelighting skills again, and I hope you realise just how amazing I am to be able to light a fire just using wood and a single spark.
Klar.
As the temperature dropped, the fire gave me comfort, and the calories from the sausages would fuel a warm night's sleep.
Das kann ich ehrlich sagen, Chat. Der geilste Schlaf, den ich jemals im Leben hatte, war immer vollgefressen. Nicht unbedingt gut für die Figur, ja, aber ich liebe es, vollgefressen zu schlafen, Chat.
Good morning! The temperature is -8.3 degrees
Danke,
Celsius.
And
at night it
P2.
reached
Danke,
-9.2. Lovely and warm. And we'll set up the GoPro here and we'll get some thrilling footage of me packing away camp, hopefully for the last time in snow.
Helpfully the tent poles had frozen together, but luckily I had a solution for that. I then made myself a lovely breakfast. I made some hot. It's only water, but look, it's all I've got, alright? But Ed, why was your morning meal only liquid?
I've made a fatal error with breakfast. Well, if I need a hammer later on, I know what I can use.
Once again, I did my normal routine of turning on the choke, starting willing, and then heading off. Well, not just yet.
My engine temperature is -10. I'm gonna let it warm up just slightly.
Once warmed up, I headed off to try and push through the snow.
Das ist eine ganz blöde Frage, Chat. Aber warum lässt man den Motor eigentlich warm laufen? Ich weiß, das klingt jetzt wieder albern für dich, aber warum eigentlich? Damit der auf Temperatur kommt. Ich könnte mir jetzt ausmalen in meinem Kopf, Metall weitet sich aus, wenn es warm wird. Also, man könnte sagen, der Motor ist nicht gut genug gefertigt, sodass er warm werden muss, damit die Passungen passen. Keine Ahnung. Öl ist wichtig, dass es heiß ist, sagt er. Die Viskosität vom Öl, ja, die nimmt zu, ne? Also nimmt ab. Also, wenn etwas viskos ist, dann ist es dickflüssig. Wenn es weniger viskos ist, ist es weniger dickflüssig, also dünnflüssiger. Okay. Heißt das, dass kaltes, viskoses Öl quasi nicht auf die ganzen Zahnräder kommt und nicht in die ganzen Ecken oder so? Oder ich lese einfach, was ihr schreibt und lasst das Video weiterlaufen, okay? Boom.
that stopped progress last night. Apparently still grumpy about my lack of breakfast.
Aber ihr schreibt, jo, okay.
Where did it, dickhead?
Yeah, progress wasn't looking good.
It's been going better.
But luckily there was a guy called Clive here who could give me some reassuring advice that things were going to get easier up ahead.
Yeah, it gets steeper up there.
Ah, tits.
I decided to call it and just hop on the bike.
Just so I can see then what's up ahead of me. Are you saying that that can't get up there?
Not really. Yeah, she's a snow dog. She loves
Oh.
the snow.
Oh mein Gott, guck mal, wie glücklich. Oh mein Gott. Das ist so ein süßer Hund.
Clive unloaded his bike and carried on, leaving me to continue the struggle.
Hier gibt er Gas. Oh nein, Monka.
Oh, no, you don't, you fucker.
And it wasn't long before Clive turned round and came back.
What's it like?
It gets steep. I can't even make it with this.
Same shit, but worse.
I'll drive you up there if you want in the truck. I can see the crest of the pass.
The problem I've got here is, like, if it was all this, I'd be able to be fine.
And that isn't nearly as well packed as this. It's a lot more rutted up there.
Oh, I hate turning round.
I was still aching from spending 8 hours pushing Willie through the snow in the last video, so I took up Clive on his offer of a scouting mission.
I'll go get the...
Nur so nebenbei, Chat. Seht ihr übrigens seinen passiv-aggressiven Aufruf für einen Sponsor-Band. Danke übrigens Partography für die 16 Monate und Kassian für die 36 Monate. Dankeschön für die lange Zeit.
truck.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
And it wasn't looking good.
Okay, yeah, so this is looking miserable.
Oh, this is the
Hast
easy
du gesehen?
part.
Oh
Ab
dear.
hier.
Yeah, this snow in the centre here is...
Applaus.
Yeah, this is pretty much not doable for me. That would take like an entire day, I think, to finish this, if I've got the energy. I think it's time to admit defeat. Can't make it over this pass. It's annoying because it's probably just there.
So with that amazingly smooth editing, and the realisation that I wasn't going to make it over this pass, I then decided to allow the funny thing called fate to occur. You see, the reason for taking this pass was to avoid loads of highway miles destroying my tyres, and Clive just happened to be going to the other side of the mountain on the highway.
Wie cool ist
So I
das
took him
bitte?
up on his offer of a lift, and we loaded the Minijeep in the back of his truck, went back the way I'd come yesterday, before doing some highway miles around the mountain,
Sehr, sehr nice.
and then gently unloaded Willie the other end.
Nur so nebenbei, Alter. Da ist ein Ami, der mit seinem Hund, seinem Auto und seiner Crossmaschine irgendwo auf den Berg fährt und dann trifft er unseren Homie hier und dann nimmt er die Zeit aus seinem Tag, um ihn woanders hinzufahren. Wie korrekt ist das bitte? Verlangt ihr jetzt Geld? Garantiert nicht.
Say my goodbyes and thank you.
Thank you so much for helping me in my time of need. No problem. Otherwise, I'd still be rattling down that mountain now.
Cooler Typ,
Well,
ey.
Willie, time to carry on.
Ich hätte mich noch ein bisschen mehr bedankt. Nur so nebenbei.
With the impassable mountain behind me, I carried on south towards the ferry.
Aber Chat, diese Art von Freundlichkeit trifft man in Amerika relativ häufig. Wirklich. Irgendwie sind die da alle sehr oberflächlich, hilfsbereit immer so. Die haben sicherlich keine Nummer ausgetauscht, den sehen sich nie wieder, aber so einmal kurz helfen tun sie sich alle. So kam mir das auf jeden Fall vor, als ich da war.
There's not too much to report about the final 100 miles until I got to the lake, but the scenery here is very pretty. And as I discovered while editing this, apparently so is this post. I followed my
Und natürlich, Chat, ne, das ist auch immer wahr. Hautfarbe ist auch immer ganz, ganz wichtig. Hast du zugenommen? Permaban.
maps and did as much off-roading as I
Kommst hier rein, Bro, nach wie vielen Monaten und fragst, ob ich fett geworden bin? Das sind die Zuschauer, Chat, die mich nur triggern wollen.
could. And I was expecting another 20 miles of tarmac during this leg, but it turns out there was another secret off-road route I didn't know about.
Right, I've come across this map in the middle of nowhere, and it shows a trail, which isn't on my map, and is an unimproved road. So I think
Oh, another post.
Willie and I can do it. And it's all downhill. Well, that's downhill.
Das ist schlechte Laune, Chat. Jetzt habe ich das Gefühl, gucken wieder nur Leute zu mich hassen. Ein großes charakteristisches Problem an mir. Alles ist immer gut, solange die Kommentare gut sind. Ein Kommentar, der nicht negativ, positiv ist und ich bin gleich am Wanken. Wonka. Aber das ist eine Ausnahme. Und er meint es vermutlich gar nicht böse. Er meint es gar nicht so böse, wie ich es aufgefasst habe. Da bin ich mir ziemlich sicher. Könnt ihr den guten Mann wieder entbannen? Bann ihn für eine Woche oder für 3 Monate oder so, auch nicht für immer.
Newly discovered route, which went well.
Oh, that was a big one. Oh, my ass. This is not what a Minijeep is supposed to do. Well, it looks like nothing.
Das ist deine erste Nachricht im Chat? Ja, dann lass ihn einfach für immer weg.
Come on, Willy. Come on. Yeah! These brakes are not good enough to hold this. Ah! Oh dear, tits.
Ich schaue immer auf meinen Chat. Mein Chat ist mir sehr wichtig, Chat. Ich kann das nicht wegignorieren. Ich bin nicht hier, um mich von euch zu beleidigen zu lassen. Wenn ihr das. Ich weiß, andere Streamer, die sind nur da, um sie zu beleidigen, Chat. Wenn das hier bei mir der Fall wäre, ich würde nie wieder online kommen. Ich weiß das sehr zu schätzen, dass ihr hier seid. Es ist keine Hackbox-Chat, ihr müsst nicht nur nett zu mir sein, ihr könnt scheiße zu mir sein. Aber bitte wählt die richtigen Worte. Okay? Das ist alles, was ich erwarte. Keine Ahnung, ich sage auch nichts Beschissenes über euch.
No, it's gonna go over backwards. I wheelie the Minijeep. Now I need to empty my underpants.
Beobachte jede Nacht, die ihr schreibt. Der göttliche Fall ist.
Oh wow. Such a shame you'll never really get the beauty of this place. Watch it in 4K.
Das finde ich nicht in Brandenburg, okay? Das ist wunderschön.
Progress was slow, so unfortunately it wouldn't be long before the sun set completely, and that'd make travelling even more difficult. Still, the twilight did make the rocks even more spectacular. Didn't make the terrain any easier though.
4K kommt hier nicht an.
Well, hey, no.
Ja, 4K kommt auch nicht auf YouTube an, nur so nebenbei.
Nobody gonna help me push.
Now pretty exhausted, Willie and I battled on, left the canyon, and then had 2 visual treats. The first one being the beautiful horizon, and the second one being some lights appearing in the distance.
Danke,
The
Klaus
reason for these
Henriette
lights
und
being a treat,
Fusselbürstel.
it was a
Zerzählte
hotel,
Dank auch.
which after an incredibly tiring day was a very welcome sight for my battered bones and anus.
Well, holy shit, there's a person there. And an open sign. If they're not open, I'm stealing the open sign, because that's unfair.
Danke, Scholle, hallo. Danke, Zerset nochmal für diese
Well, that
Info.
was a lovely night's sleep, and I got loads of food, and I'm lovely and warm, and the sun's out, and I've now got 12 miles to get to Bullfrog, where I then get the ferry across Lake Powell, and then carry on to MOAB. So, let's head off.
I drove out of the hotel car park, and because it's Utah, I then immediately entered an incredible trail network. What a lovely way to spend the morning. I'll go on then, I'll film a tripod shot for you.
Something like that.
With the shot in the bag, we carried on, and Willie had now developed an interesting fault.
Ich sage die ganze Zeit Brandenburg, weil ich am Anfang meinte, das ist alles sehr wunderschön da und da ist riesig viel offenes Land. Warum habe ich in Deutschland nicht quasi riesig offenes Land, wo man in Anführungszeichen machen darf, was man will? Aber das sieht nicht aus wie Brandenburg.
On even the slightest bump, the rear wheels would now rub on the wheel arches.
Oder?
At this
Ich weiß
point
es
in
nicht,
time,
ich komme
I
nicht aus
assumed
Brandenburg.
it was just the suspension wearing out, and nothing major. In the business, we call this foreshadowing.
Come on, wheel arch, just wear away, stop making the noise. Yeah.
Wo fand ich eben das Ding?
Bad noises. Bad noises.
Loud noises!
The trails were fun, the scenery was spectacular, and changing gear now resembled stirring soup. But it was all good. Nothing was going to stop us catching this ferry. I continued hopping from trail to trail before taking a slight detour to call into a petrol station to get some fuel and an ice cold beer. Unfortunately, they only had pizza cold beer, so I only got the petrol.
Bait and Tackle, Gift Shop and Apparel, Clean Restrooms, Ice Cream, Old-Fashioned Burgers. Was auch immer das bedeuten mag.
Is pizza cold beer hot like pizza or cold like... Never mind.
Did you build that? No, I bought it.
Oh, and I keep getting asked, this Minijeep is a Coolster Minijeep, which I think is the highest quality of all the Chinese Minijeeps, and there's a link in the description if you want to buy one, if you're also mental.
Wow, on sale, boys. Nur $2.300. Für Kids.
It's only got 8 horsepower, but it is amazing where it goes.
You're traveling all over.
Done probably 800 miles now on this trip. You going out in the water today?
There's my number.
Sweet, and that's you.
What a nice guy.
Das ist so normal übrigens, Chat. Ich habe immer noch Karten von Leuten, die ich aus Amerika getroffen habe.
Seems like the kind of guy that would really help me out if I was in need.
Es gab mal sogar jemanden, Chat, der mich irgendwann um 4 Uhr morgens angerufen, weil ich ihm meine Nummer gegeben hatte. Ich weiß nur nicht, was er von mir wollte. Und er hat auch nicht auf meinen Call geantwortet. Aber er hat um 4 Uhr nachts angerufen hier.
In the business, we also call this foreshadowing. Fueled up and with Kyle's phone number, I did the remaining 10 miles to Bullfrog with nothing much happening. Although I did think I was going to fall in this Minijeep-sized trench.
Oh, der ist aber ziemlich eng, Alter. Da reinrutscht.
Ah, this is nerve-wracking.
Like I said, I did the remaining 10 miles to get to Bullfrog to catch the ferry. But when I got there was an issue.
Ich bin ganz ehrlich, Chat, der Typ, der mich da aus Amerika um 4 Uhr nachts angerufen hat, ich weiß gar nicht, ob der so genau verstanden hat, dass ich da eigentlich nur Tourist war. Ich glaube, der hat das eher so verstanden, dass ich da lebe. Das ist ein bisschen schwierig mit Amis, Chat. Manchmal verstehen die nicht so richtig, was man denen versucht zu sagen, auch wenn man sich normal ausdrückt.
You know that foreshadowing I talked about?
I've just found a problem. The tyre is rubbing the wheel arch, like, a lot. Keep that for later. Let's see if you can spot the problem with the chassis.
Ah. Ist gebrochen. Was jetzt? Ich habe nicht das Gefühl, dass dieser ganze Jeep $2.300 wert ist, übrigens, Chat. Eher so $300.
I've broken the back end of Willie off. And that's a problem.
And while we're talking about that foreshadowing, Kyle phoned me up to see if I needed anything.
Nett.
Hello?
Before paying me a visit, learning about my dilemma.
Den Typen, den er gerade eben an der Tanke getroffen hat, kommt jetzt vorbei und hilft ihm. Das ist Amerika, Chat.
Broken the back of it. The chassis rails have actually snapped.
And then loaded Willie on his trailer to go and take me to a welder.
Geil.
Okay guys, you know the deal. Someone's got to wank Kyle off now. Determined to help me out, he took me to every workshop there was to get Willie repaired.
Do you know anyone around here that's got...
Und er trinkt einen Zero Sugar Monster Energy Drink, Chat. Ein wahrer Amerikaner. Ein Patriot.
Do you know anyone around here that's got a MIG welder? Do a quick weld on some box section.
However, there was a problem. Because of liability issues or just general disinterest, no one here wanted to help.
Well, on something like this, I'd have to talk to the boss.
Is there any amount of money that can get us a welder in town?
And the next town was 1 hour north.
You can't take me to Hanksville.
And unfortunately, everyone's generosity has a limit. Luckily though, this wasn't everyone, this was Kyle. So Kyle handed me the keys to his truck to do the 2-hour drive to go and get the
What the fuck, Alter?
repairs done, while him and his son went fishing on the lake.
Dude. Chat, so viel Negatives ich in Amerika finden kann. Ich hätte großen Zweifel, dass das in Deutschland passiert.
This is madness.
Stell dir vor, ich würde ein Auto fahren für 2 Stunden.
Fine, I'll wank Kyle off. Any views expressed about sexual favours in return for welding repairs are not those of anyone else in this video, they are purely those of C90 Adventures. Hand job. Hand job.
Everybody gets a
Hand job.
Right, I'm now driving. I'm driving Kyle's truck. All the way back to Hanksville.
Once there I found someone to do the welding, but they wanted to remain totally anonymous. So this is all I can show. But thank you so much, kind and helpful anonymous person. You have no idea how much you helped me out.
Krass.
With the repairs
Danke.
done, I headed back to the previous night's hotel, ready to rejoin Kyle and his son in the morning.
Tatsächlich, in Deutschland hätte ich ja auch so einen Spruch erwartet, von wegen, sie können das Auto nicht fahren, die sind nicht versichert, wenn sie Fahrzeugführer sind oder sowas, ja. Das wäre ultra German.
However, when I got to the lake in the morning, there was some very bad news. Don't worry, Kyle and his son were okay, but me getting the ferry across the lake, that was not.
So, I finally made it to Bullfrog, and now I'm here. I'm going to get the ferry across Lake Powell. The problem is, the ferry isn't running because the water's too low, and it's like a 150 mile detour around Lake Powell, which would be a big problem, because it's tarmac, my tyres are going to get scrubbed, I just can't do it. However, if you remember...
And also do some modifications that I've got up my sleeve.
And so, I now present to you my modifications. Willy is now
Nein. Nein. Macht er nicht.
amphibious. He floats, and we're gonna go across the
Ja, man lässt mir keine Wahl. Ich muss das Video liken.
lake.
I haven't tested the conversion.
Wenn du jetzt gleich das Video beendest, ohne zu zeigen, wie es floatet, drehe ich durch. Okay. Das ist akzeptabel. Guter Clickbait für das nächste Video. Und er editiert mit Adobe.
And in the next video, I attempt to drive 1.2 miles across a lake. If you'd like to help support stupid things like this happen.
Ja, Bro, Alter. Like dein Video. Und hier. Ich hab's komplett angesehen. Klick den Sponsor an, warum nicht? Okay, ich klicke auf das und dann strebre ich ab. Gerne. Ich hoffe, es hat geholfen. Holy shit, Chat. Was eine geile Sau, oder? Holy shit, Mann. Gutes Video, wie ich finde.